Why Poland?
You're number 558 person asked me this question.
I moved to Poland for a girl.
I moved to Poland because of my grandparents.
What's it like being a foreigner in Poland?
It's always nice to go anywhere in Poland and they ask, oh, you're Italian.
We're here for a good time, not a long time.
Being Asian in Poland is exotic, and especially when it comes to dating things.
If you're a foreigner in Poland, you must be getting this question a lot. Why Poland?
So we asked foreigners, why they move to Poland?
Let's get started. Thank you for your time. Could you introduce yourself?
My name is Aiza. I'm from Kyrgyzstan. I'm a student in Poland.
Why did you move to Poland?
I used to live in Italy before, and before Italy, I used to live in Japan, but only Poland feels like home, and actually that is the main reason.
So, you left Italy and Japan to come to Poland. Why did you make that decision?
Because I wasn't happy in those countries. When I was traveling in Krakow for 3 days, I felt more like home. In Poland, the life is way convenient, comfortable, infrastructure is good, public transport system, it's safe. Another thing is that I don't speak Italian or Japan. It was really hard to live in those countries, but in Poland, you can just speak English and you can survive pretty well.
What's it like being Kyrgyz in Poland?
It's really nice to be Asian and Kyrgyz in Poland because in Poland there are not so many Asians and that's why you seem exotic and interesting to locals. When I was living in Italy, I didn't have this experience. I didn't feel like I'm welcoming or I'm really interesting to locals.
So you feel more exotic in Poland?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I didn't know about it, but being Asian in Poland is exotic, and especially when it comes to dating things. Now, Poland, people like Japanese culture, Asian culture, anime, and maybe that's another reason why Polish people like Asians, or they're like really curious about Asians.
How many tries does it take for anybody to guess you're from Kyrgyzstan?
At least 10 times to understand that I'm not from China, Japan, or Philippines. And the fact that I speak Russian, it's also confusing because they don't expect some Asians to speak Russian. The first thing that Polish people ask is like, why you came here? They still have this mindset that Poland is not so famous among foreigners, but actually it is. They're surprised.
I'm Sora, I'm from France, I'm right now 28 and I live in Poland for 3 years.
Why Poland?
It's the complicated question. I moved to Poland for a girl. It didn't really work out, but I really love it here, so I stayed.
What's it like being French in Poland?
When I tell people here that I'm French, their reaction will be like, oh, it's nice. But it's not like, oh, you're French, so I'm gonna treat you better or worse. I think people are just good in general, yeah.
Because I think France has a lot of influence over cultures. Like you go to a boulangerie over here as well.
I think it can be very positive, especially for a bit older generation. I've met a couple of people who were telling me they learned French 50 years ago because it was very good to speak French, because it had a good image in the country and something like this. And for the younger generation, I think it doesn't really matter so much.
That's interesting. You mentioned about the older people that they speak French. Like you would think that people in Poland would speak many years ago in Russian, for example. But French, is it maybe because you have had a lot of important Polish people long back, like Marie Curie? Marie Curie was living in France, married to a French guy. Chopin, half Polish, half French. So I think France has a lot of influence on that. Don't you think so?
Yes. I totally agree. And I can really feel it in this older generation, yeah.
Could you first of all introduce yourself?
My name is Igor Alexandrov. I come from Kharkiv in Ukraine, and I've been living in Poland for 2.5 years. Oh my God, that's a long time already.
Why Poland?
That's a wonderful question. We Ukrainians never get asked here for obvious reasons. But this story of mine is kind of random and a little bit embarrassing at the same time. So when the war started, unfortunately, I had decided to move to Czech Republic, to Prague. I loved this town and I love it to this day. And my girlfriend back then at the time convinced me to come here with her to Gdańsk because she had some professor friend who was supposed to help us with university education and accommodation as well. You know, the feeling was very strong for my girlfriend. I came here, but after I think a month or so, she actually left Gdańsk and she went to Prague, Czech Republic.
Wow.
How surprisingly. But I did not have enough finances, nor did I actually have any desire to follow her second time. So this is pretty much how I ended up staying here. And I guess this is exactly what destiny is.
What's it like being Ukrainian in Poland?
Being Ukrainian is also tough, but I would say it's much more easy than if I was, for example, from a non-Slavic speaking country. There is a certain stereotype in Polish society that Ukrainians live here off of, governmental financial aid, like 800 plus or something, that we do not work, we do not like respect this country. This is absolutely not true. 100% of Ukrainian people whom I know, they work hard, they contribute to the society, they contribute obviously to the economy, and really do respect this country. We have some certain labels. Obviously, if you go and try and find an entry-level job, you will most likely end up receiving a lower salary just because you're Ukrainian. But I think it's applicable also to most of other foreigners.
Hi, first of all, I'm not Sanach the Polish singer. My name is Monika Zielinski, and I moved to Warsaw in 2016.
Are you Piotr Zelensky's daughter?
No, not related. I made the Polish singer Edyta Górniak cry once.
Explain.
A few years ago, I was on the show Ameryka da się lubić, which is kind of an entertainment talk show. And I was on the show, and she was one of the guest stars as well. And I was talking about my reasoning for coming to Poland and staying in Poland, which involved my grandparents. And she was so moved by my story that she actually shed a tear. And we had to stop filming so she could get her makeup fixed. True story.
To your actual story, we would like to hear that as well.
So the story I told at Edyta Górniak is that I moved to Poland because of my grandparents. So I grew up my whole life in the US, but I always felt like I wanted to spend time with my grandparents. Sad turn of events. My grandfather actually passed away like about a month ago. But
Very sorry to hear that.
yeah, but you know, I was able to spend a lot of quality time with him, which I wouldn't have if I was living still in the US. So I really valued that time with him. And I think it's really important when you get older, you realize that that time you have with older relatives is more precious. And I tell everyone now that use the time you have, make sure that it's quality time, and you never know when it's going to be the last time. So it was definitely a good decision that I made. And I didn't know what was going to happen if I moved here, if I would have a job or if I would meet the love of my life. I didn't know any of this going into this, but I knew that whatever would happen, I would at least have spent some time with my family, and that's always worthwhile. I remember when I was in middle school, so around like 12, 13 years old, I dreamed about living in Warsaw. It was my biggest dream, and I never thought it would become a reality until I graduated college and decided to move here.
I'm sure a lot of Polish kids would had the opposite dream and seeing you coming here. Did you have that with your cousins or your friends when you came here as a child? And people thinking like, oh wow, you're from the US. You get all this cool stuff which is not available in Poland at that time.
Maybe 15, 20 years ago, that was the case. But now people see that Europe is a really great place to live, especially for work-life balance. And there's a lot of opportunities here to travel and just have a good quality life. So I think that perspective has changed a lot. Now people, I think, understand why I decided to move to Europe rather than live in the US.
Hi, thanks for your time. Can you first of all introduce yourself and your fluffy friend?
Sure. My name is Jiaxing from China. My friend, her name is Coco, and she's from Poland.
Okay.
So we've been Poland. I mean, I've been in Poland for 11 years, and she's here for almost 3 years with me.
Okay. Coco, do you have anything to say?
She speaks Chinese, I'm afraid. I'll let her down.
Yeah, let's put it down now. Why Poland?
I'm really happy you asked this question. You know, you're not the first one. I think you're number 558 person ask me this question. It's a very beautiful accident. I had a chance to study abroad, and Poland was one of the choice. Then I chose it. Then I stayed.
Tell us about life here in Poland as a Chinese person.
2 words, invisible and quiet. I think the Chinese community is very invisible in Poland. There's a lot of Asian-looking people, but not all of them are Chinese. And quiet is, I don't think I've heard any Chinese community organizing any events apart from some company from China. So I think it's invisible and quiet.
And how about Polish people? How do they treat you?
They treat me as a very friendly, smiling foreigner. I mean, of course, it takes time for me to get through it because in order to integrate with the culture, I have to behave like a Polish. I have to learn and behave how they eat, how they talk, and what volume they're talking about, and what kind of topics they're talking about. But later on, after a few years, I realized trying to behave like a Polish made me lose my personality. So right now I'm on the way to get back to who I am. But in general, Polish people treat me really good. And that's also the reason why I'm still here. To go abroad and establish a life feels like a social suicide. And you kind of have to cut off everything, then re-establish everything. And I don't want to do it. That's why, I'm saying people is the most thing I value in Poland.
Hi, I am Noelia. I am a Paraguayan living in Poland for 6 years.
Awesome. Why Poland?
I came here for studies at the University of Warsaw, and later on, what kept me being here was my job.
What's it like being a foreigner in Poland?
They are interested in you. They think you're exotic. They have so many questions on everything. What you do here? What is it like to be here? And why are you exactly here? Because it's so different. It's very hard to find a Paraguayan actually here. That's very, very funny to say. We are just 7 million, around 7 million. So when you find a Paraguayan, I think that another Paraguayan will feel happy also.
But have you met any Paraguayans in Poland?
I did. I actually created a group of Paraguayans in Poland.
What, 3 people?
8 people actually.
That's a lot.
Yes.
And what's your experience like when you meet Polish people?
They have been very generous with me. I haven't had any problems. Apart from bureaucracy, we all know about it, especially if you're a foreigner. They are very welcoming to me, and I have very, very close and good friends who are Poles.
Salvatore here from Calabria, south of Italy. Been in Warsaw for 7 years.
So why Poland?
I was here for Erasmus in 2015. I just fell in love with the city. It was very nice to live here, very organized, safe, clean. And then job opportunities brought me back here.
Okay, so what's it like living in Poland as an Italian?
People have this very funny idea about Italians, and they always trying, to make fun of us in a good term. So it's always nice to go anywhere in Poland and they ask, "Oh, you're Italian," and they just want to hear something in Italian or talk about Italian food. But then the first reaction is, "Why Poland? Like, it's so sunny in Italy." And well, I guess they've never been living in Italy, so yeah, that's the reason.
So you would say overall you're well received here in Poland?
Yes, absolutely. I found myself really comfortable saying I'm from Italy here in Poland because I guess that there is a special connection between the countries. Both national anthems of Polish national anthems and Italian national anthems are the only two that are mentioning each other. So in Italian national anthem, there is some Polish connection because Polish soldiers were helping Italian soldiers during Second World War in Monte Cassino, if I'm not wrong. So there's this kind of connection.
And also, these are not Polish people, these are tourists.
You're crashing our interview, so...
We're here for a good time, not a long time.
Is it a good time? Are you having a good time in Krakow?
I'm having a great time. We're here for a stag do. So,
It's a stag, baby.
what's the interview about?
About a life in Poland.
Is it good or bad?
I mean, it's nice.
You'll have to watch our interview to find out.
But how do you find it?
Yeah, you live here.
I live here.
Yeah. How do you like life in Poland?
Aman, why did you move to Poland?
Subscribe to find out.